Now, during the Norman conquest from 1066 to 1300, the Percy family's entry into English history was anything but subtle. Originally from Percy on Auger, Normandy, hence the surname Percy, they embarked on a journey that was less a channel crossing than a seismic shift in the power dynamics of medieval England. Indeed, William de Percy, the clan's pioneer, landed in England with William the Conqueror himself between 1066 and 1067. Come to think of it, it's perhaps easiest to imagine this Percy ancestor as the medieval equivalent of the co-founder of a popular startup who, thanks to the king's generosity, became the new owner of prime real estate in Yorkshire, Lincolnshire, Essex, and Hampshire. Now even the famous House Book of 1086, a middle-aged account book detailing the exact locations and centres of power of medieval England, chronicled the land acquisitions of the Percy family, transforming the future Dukes of Northumberland from mere landowners into members of the royal family. As the calendar turned to the 14th century, the Persians, by then firmly established as English nobility, engaged in military adventures and political machinations. For example, the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314, where Sir Henry Percy, 1st Baron Percy, played a cameo role, but not in the expected manner. Having avoided battle under Edward II, he opted for a strategic retreat at Arnwick. Some called it a masterful tactical move, others a lesson in choosing battles wisely. And this period was also marked by Percy's alliance with the Plantagenets, then royal rock stars. Without a doubt, joining forces with them was not just a calculated political move. It was like receiving a VP ticket to the most exclusive social events of the medieval elite. Consequently, the alliance between the Percy family and the Plantagenet alliance bore a fruit in 1377 with the creation of the Earldom of Northumberland. So, when Henry Percy received this titular post, the coronation of Richard II, it was not so much a step forward as a quantum leap into the aristocratic stratosphere. Moreover, Percy's ability to navigate the turbulent waters of English politics in the Middle Ages was legendary. Their acumen in the military and political arenas was matched only by their skillful management of land and strategic marriages that spread a web of influence throughout the British Isles. Indeed, their participation in key historical events, from the signing of Magna Carta to the Wars of the Roses, further strengthened their status. They didn't just play the Game of Thrones, they rewrote the rules. So to put it into perspective, to this day one of the largest landowners in the United Kingdom ruled for so long that their ancestors literally signed the Magna Carta. Of course, this is the kind of family continuity you can't develop by simply buying your child a new Rolls-Royce and sending him to a fancy prep school. At the height of the Wars of the Roses, a period that rocked England from 1455 to 1487, the Percy family were more than just a group of spectators. They were the central characters in this iconic historical drama. This era, marked by bitter rivalry between the Plantagenet houses of York and Lancaster, changed the very structure of the nation, and the devastating consequences of the conflict, which claimed more than 105,000 lives and ended the Plantagenet male line, paved the way for the rise of the Tudor dynasty. Amid this national upheaval, Percy Neville's feud became a key plot point, fueling tensions that would lead to a wider war. Beginning in the 1450s, this bitter rivalry between the two northern powers, the Percys and the Nevilles, laid the groundwork for the chaos that followed. You see, the Nevilles were a family on the rise at this time. They grew steadily in power, largely through strategic marriages, such as Richard Neville's alliance with Alice Montacute, heir to the Earl of Salisbury. This clever move not only increased their wealth and lands, but also strengthened their status among the northern aristocracy. Moreover, their cunning political alliances, including connections with influential figures at court, further increased their influence. Thus, it was the growing power and expanding influence of the Nevilles that brought them into conflict with the established and equally ambitious Percy family, turning the regional power struggle into a key factor in the larger Wars of the Roses. Now the city of York, the jewel of the north, became the scene of their confrontations, witnessing clashes at its walls in 1453 and 1454, which only fanned the flames of discord. But the feud took a truly dramatic turn on 24 August 1453, when Thomas Neville married Maud, a union which the Percys considered offensive. This tension resulted in a confrontation aimed at destroying the Neville party, a move that pushed the Nevilles into the arms of the Duke of York and the Percys into Lancastrian Somerset. Therefore, this Percy-Neville feud was much more than just a local quarrel. It became the catalyst for a wider national conflict that changed the fortunes of England, a resolution that only came with Henry VII's restoration of the Percy dynasty in 1485, a move that not only ended the feud but also marked an important moment in the turbulent narrative of the Wars of the Roses. In fact, the legendary fiery spirit of the Percy family was so well known during this era that they were even included in the works of Shakespeare himself, with not one but two members of the Percy family being characters in the Bard's play Henry IV. And then back to real life. What follows is the so-called Rebellion of the North in 1569, organized by Thomas Percy, 7th Earl of Northumberland. This was not just a rebellion, it was a high-stakes gambit to replace Elizabeth I with Mary, Queen of Scots. Thomas Percy, who acted as the face of the rebellion, embodied the clash between religious zeal and political ambition. But as daring as it was, the rebellion failed, failing to gain the necessary support and facing a formidable response from the troops of Elizabeth I. The Percy family faced music, and the capture and execution of Thomas Percy marked an important, if dark, chapter in the family saga. However, after this stressful time for this legendary family, the Percys would not only begin to write on their own, but would actually improve their lot by cleverly joining both the coming Industrial Revolution and even occupying a key position in the field of British literature. Let's join this family in the next chapter of their story as they simultaneously chronicle key moments in modern British industry, as well as one of the nation's favourite poets. In the 19th century, the Percy family, revered as the Dukes of Northumberland, embraced the winds of change brought by the Industrial Revolution. They benefited greatly from this era of innovation, turning their vast lands into centres of industrial activity. For example, in the early 1800s, the Percy colliery at Shilbottle was a symbol of their foresight, and Charles Percy's father deftly managed the estate for the Duke. Moreover, as the 1840s arrived, the Percys, ever the dreamers, became involved in the booming railroad industry. Additionally, this period marked a turning point for the Percys, overcoming their medieval, Tudor, and Stuart heritage. The technological advances of the late 19th century and socio-economic upheaval required a new approach to aristocracy, and the Percys rose to the challenge. As the First World War unfolded from 1914 to 1918, the Percy family were not content to be mere spectators. They were in the very centre of things. Before the outbreak of war, the Duke of Northumberland took the decisive step of turning the grounds near Alnwick Castle into a training camp for the Tyneside Brigades, which were to join the ranks of the Northumberland Fusiliers. It was not just about providing space, but also about building a force that would be at the forefront of Britain's war effort. The Northumberland Fusiliers, a formidable unit of the British Army, have expanded their ranks to an impressive 52 battalions, 29 of which serve overseas. Indeed, they were a central force during the war, engaging in grueling trench warfare on the Western Front, and even showed their valour on the Macedonian front, the Gallipoli campaign, and the Italian front. Their role was not only significant, but also symbolised Britain's military strength and resilience. In 1918, just before the end of the war, the dukedom was inherited by Alan Ian Percy, the 8th Duke, born in 1880. Lots of Percy style. His life was a fascinating interweaving of roles: British peer, army officer, newspaper owner. His military career included service as a sub-lieutenant in the Second Boer War, while his political leanings saw him as a staunch Tory and an ardent supporter of the House of Lords. His influence extended into the fields of journalism and publishing, making him a multifaceted figure of his time. Then, during the Second World War, Alnwick Castle was transformed from a family home into a strategic military installation. Her Majesty's Alnwick Castle, named after the family, was a testament to the family's unwavering commitment to the defence of the country. Moreover, the next head of the Percy family, the 9th Duke of Northumberland, Henry George Alan Percy, took the helm in 1930, only to end his life on the shores of Dunkirk in service to the British people, leaving behind a legacy of gallant bravery and service to the nation. Fast forward to the late 20th century, and Percy, perennial trendsetters, turned their attention to preserving history. From the 1970s to the 90s, they donned their restoration hats, transforming heritage sites with Alnwick Castle as their focus. Under the leadership of Elizabeth Percy and Sir Hugh Smithson, the castle was not only restored, it was reborn, ready to face the future while paying homage to its past. The 1980s in particular ushered in a new chapter for the Percys as they opened the doors of their estate to the public. The transformation of Alnwick Castle from a private residence into a public wonder was not just a change of policy. It was like turning a personal diary into a bestseller. During this era, the Persians did not just preserve history, they created it, combining their noble heritage with the ability to adapt to modernity. And here we are today, with the Percy family, also known as the Dukes of Northumberland, almost 1,000 years later, and still holding the greatest influence and lands in Albion. That's all for us, dear friends. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to write comments. See you in the next video. Good luck, everyone, and see you soon.